Hey everybody, I'm Al. This is Hands On Games, and today we're looking at Red, White, and Blue Racin by Play.com Sports Simulation Games, designed by Keith Avalone, who does all the game design over there. I am not a NASCAR fan, although I do now own two NASCAR-themed games, both this one and Thunder Alley, which is a fantastic game, but it's multiplayer. So if you're looking for a NASCAR game to play with your family, don't even wait for me to do a video on it. Go out and buy it. It's a great game. But if you want to get through a NASCAR season or just do one race solo, I can't recommend this game enough. It's a lot of fun. I've already gotten more than my money's worth out of this game, as back in 2013, I took the original fictional driver set. The fictional drivers are called, it's part of the Scram organization, so it's not NASCAR, it's Scram, Stock Car America. And I took that set, I went on the Delphi forums, I asked people to sign up, I replaced some of the fictional driver names with people from the Delphi forums, and we ran through a whole season. It was tons of fun. My driver didn't win, but Keith did send me this trophy that he sends everybody who finishes a campaign or a season or any kind of long project with any of his library of games. You'll get one of these trophies. So you'll see that there's my trophy for finishing the 2012 Scram season, which I did a couple years ago on the Delphi forum, so hopefully some of the people watching this video remember that, and that was a blast. So 31 races over the span of a few months, and I really enjoyed it. So I needed to get this game on the channel as soon as possible so that folks who may have been on the fence about this offering had some more information about it. The game itself is unlike many other of Keith's games in that it's not book-driven, chart-driven. Most of the action is going to happen right on the cards themselves. So, for example, for the purposes of this video, I am using the cards from the 2000 Stars set that Keith offers. He has all the seasons, I think, the actual NASCAR seasons back starting in 2012 up to today, as well as some Stars set, Stars of the 80s, for example, and this one Stars from the 2000s. So take a look at this card. So here's the card for Jeff Gordon, once I get it in focus. Come on, there we go. All right, so Jeff Gordon's card shows you a picture of the car. So you'll see that these cards are nice and colorful. Has his name and the set that it's from. Now, the way you read the card is those blocks, those squares, that's his ability to make moves during the race. The more squares you see, the better. So think of it in War Games terms, that's his offensive rating. On the other side, you'll see burst symbols. That's his defensive rating, or is what's referred to as brake. So the squares are gas pedal, ability to make moves on the track. And the bursts are defensive or brake pedals, the ability to fend off people trying to make moves during the race. In addition, you'll see that he has other qualities, reflex, control, star, heat, smart, let's see, skill is another one that you don't see on his card. I'll show you how those work in the game. He also has a fast pit rating and escape rating. I'll talk about those. And finally, two more actual ratings down in the corner there with that gold trophy. The A is his pit cruise rating, and that gold trophy comes into play during race week. And just as a comparison, you'll see a driver such as John Andretti from the same set. Fewer skills. Come on. Fewer skills, no brakes, no burst symbols anyway, fewer gas pedal symbols, and lower fast pit and lower escape ratings, no trophy, and a D pit crew rating. Okay, so that's the driver cards. For each track, we're also going to have information. So here's the card for Daytona International Speedway from the 2000s. You'll see it has information about the races there. It also has all of the die roll activator values for the race cam phase of the race, and I'll talk about that throughout this video about how that works. But you'll see that each track is also individualized in this game. Most importantly, you'll see right in the middle, right above the dice images, you'll see modifiers for escape and repair. So at Daytona, it's going to be a little bit harder to make an escape because there's a -1 modifier to the die roll, yet a little bit easier for the pit crews to make a repair and get the car back on the track. So just some quick ideas of what the components look like as far as the racers, their cars, and the track itself. Before I show you how the gameplay works, let me just talk about how the gameplay flows. Like NASCAR, there is a race week phase where drivers will qualify, get their cars ready, and you'll determine what the running order is going to be on race day. Red, White, and Blue Racin simulates this in a very user-friendly way. In Keith's introduction letters that he includes with the game and in the rules itself, he makes mention some players may want to skip this. They may want to order the drivers in the race the way they did in real life. They may just want to shuffle them out to get through this phase of the game quicker. But to be honest, it takes maybe 15 minutes to do race week as written in the rules. It's kind of fun, randomizes things. Crazy things can happen just in race week alone where a star driver may have a problem and may not even make the race. So I really like it. It goes through the phases of creating a TV list. So the game has the concept of some drivers that, for good reasons or bad reasons, are featured in the TV coverage that week. And those drivers will be represented by a different colored card. So here's the TV card for Jimmy Johnson. You'll notice it's got a bit of a gold color as opposed to the normal white color for Kevin Harvick here. So if you have a driver that happens to be a TV driver for that race, or has the is on the TV list, you're going to use this gold colored card instead. And really, the card is no different in terms of the qualities on the card or anything like that. It's just so as you're playing the game, if the game says check for a quality challenge for the TV drivers, it's easy to identify who they are. So after you identify who the TV drivers are going to be for that week and get them placed, you'll move on to who are the fast qualifiers, who are the slow qualifiers, and then you fill out the rest of the field. And then you have your field of 43 cars for the race. And like I said, that part of the game only takes about 15-20 minutes at most. And it's a lot of fun because you start by shuffling the whole deck of driver cards. You shuffle these up and you start rolling dice and you start pulling cards off of here and calling them slow, fast, whatever, and you get your field laid out and you start the game. So let me go ahead and stop talking for now. I will show you what the game looks like on the tabletop and come back and talk a little bit afterwards. Okay, so here's what the game looks like on your tabletop. You've got two game boards. One game board showing you the race leader and the top group, the other game board showing you the middle group, and then finally you've got the bottom group over in a stack over here representing drivers 20 through 43, and the racetrack card for this particular race. The game provides you with a number of dice. It's not called Red, White, and Blue Racin for nothing. You get red, white, and blue dice, and you also get the race cam dice, 2 silver and 1 black. Now, I've already gone through and done the race week for a demonstration game, and in this particular case, Clint Boyer got the pole position along with the performance chip. I'll talk about that in a minute. And we did happen to have an incident in the pits during race week that gave us our two feuding drivers for the game. They happen to be Jimmy Johnson here sitting in 8th place, also a TV driver denoted by his gold-colored card, and Ryan Newman, who is the benefactor of that little conflict in the pits, who's sitting here in 2nd place. So what that means is during the game, if I roll a certain result, I'm going to have an opportunity to have a battle, if you will, between the two feuding drivers. So it's a way to bring more personality into the game. You know, folks can feel free to ignore these results or to add more feuding drivers as they see fit. It's one of those things where the game player can make their own choices. So, but for this particular race, we've got Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman who are going to be our feuders. You can also have fume drivers who are particularly upset for any given reason. Again, during race week, and I didn't show you this events guide, but during race week, different events can happen, and they're detailed in this events guide. So I didn't go through this in the video. This is something that you know, you as the game player can experience, but you have events that happen during race week, and the flavor text is described here as well as the effects. So again, some people skip this part of the game. I advise against it. It's a lot of fun. So this only comes into play during race week, and once you've got your field set up like I do, you're not going to reference this booklet again. Okay, so race week is over. We have our cards in position for the start of the race. The card for the racetrack is going to tell you how long your race is going to be. In this case, let's say I'm doing the Daytona 500, and it's going to be 50 turns. 500-mile race, 50 turns. A turn in red, white, and blue racing represents 10 miles. It's not a specific number of laps, it's distance. So a 500-mile race is going to take you 50 turns. Now, the score sheet that comes with the game is one I still use. I didn't come up with any home brews for this one. You'll notice that the top of the sheet is marked with boxes to check off laps. And starting with lap 7, and then again on lap 17, 27, etc., you see triangles. That's to help you figure out when you have your pit turns. So I will talk about how pits work, but the score sheet is really well laid out, really well done, helps you keep track of what lap you're on. It has spaces for your feuding drivers. You see I put Johnson and Newman there. Who might be fuming? Your TV list, I didn't fill that out. Lead changes to make note of, any other notes, and then you have your running order that you can also denote at the start of the race on the left, and then you can write all the names in again for the finish of the race to see what the finishing results were. So typically to get to about this point, it's about 15 minutes for the setup to get everybody laid out, and then you're ready to start racing. The other things you're looking at on these game boards, on the right-hand side, you have a couple small charts to figure out who the duel instigator is in duels, results for if you had a feud or a fume happen. You have brake bonus reminders. I mentioned earlier that some drivers have more or less gas pedals and some have more or less brakes. Well, when you're a driver in the lead or in the top group, you're going to get bonuses. So it's a DRM, a dice roll modifier, so to speak, but it's a quality modifier. So someone may be challenging Clint Boyer for the lead, and he's going to get a bonus of 2 brakes for those challenges. Anybody in 2nd through 7th gets a bonus of 1, and there are no such bonuses in the middle group. Over on the middle group chart, you have repair rolls for cars that end up in trouble during a race or that have a problem. This is where the pit crew grade comes into play, and again, that pit crew grade, if I look at Denny Hamlin's card, is the letter that's inside the trophy. Now, if I didn't explain it clearly enough, the trophy was used during race week to determine where drivers ended up in qualifying. So for the remainder of the game, the color of the trophy is not important. That was just for race week. The letter inside the trophy represents the skill of the pit crew. So the first step in any turn in Red, White, and Blue Racin is the race cam phase. And in the race cam phase, you're going to roll your 2 silver and 1 black dice. So in this case, I rolled a black 4 and 2 silver 3s. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look on your chart for your racetrack. And the black die represents the group that's impacted in this particular phase of the race. So this is where the action is happening in this 10-mile stretch of racing. So it's going to be here in the middle group. And you look at the silver dice and you see that it's going to be a star quality challenge. Now we also rolled doubles, so that means there's also going to be a problem somewhere in this turn, and it's up to me as the game player. Because I rolled doubles, do I want to take care of the problem result first, or do I want to take care of the star challenges first and then resolve the problem result afterwards? Now there is a rule that says late in the race on the final lap, if you do roll doubles and there's a problem, you need to resolve that immediately. But in this case, we'll just go ahead and resolve it after we do our star challenges. Okay, so now the race cam phase is over. We know what we're doing. We're starting with the middle group, and they're going to be challenging drivers in the top group on the star quality. And then after this is over, after we resolve all these challenges between middle to top and see some positions possibly swap during this 10-mile stretch of action, we have to resolve the problem result from rolling doubles on the 2 silver dice. Had we not rolled doubles after this turn, we just move on to the next turn. Now this is where the red, white, and blue dice come into play. We're going to roll all 3 at once. The red die is going to be compared against the gas pedal rating of the challenging driver if they have the star quality. The white die will tell us which driver is being challenged for their position in the top group. And finally, the blue die will be compared against the brake rating of the defending driver. So for most of these drivers in this middle group, they do have the star quality. Wallace does, Edwards does, Biffle, etc. If one of these drivers does not have that quality, you skip them and move on to the next driver. So different tracks will have different qualities that are being checked. So some drivers will naturally perform on different tracks than others. So Rusty Wallace, roll the 3 red, white, and blue dice, and we get red, white, and blue is how they're read, so 5, 6, 6. First we check, is 5, does 5 allow Rusty to make a challenge? And no. Rusty only has 3 gas pedals. We would have to have rolled a 3 or, sorry, I am definitely having trouble with the focus. He would have had to have rolled a 3, there we go, a 3 or better on the red die, I'm sorry, a 3 or lower on the red die to successfully make that challenge. It's outside of his range, so he fails, you move on to the next driver. We have Carl Edwards. He needs a 4 or better on the red to even continue. And we roll a 4, 2, 6. Now, that allows Carl to pass the gas check, so he gets his 4. Now he's going to be challenging whoever's over here in the 2 position, so he's challenging Martin Truex. If Martin had had the star quality, he would earn a bonus break. He does not. He just has a single break added to the break bonus of being in the top group, which gives him 2 breaks, and he fails the break check. He would have had to roll a 2 or better in order to pass that. And another rule in this game, a blue 6 is always going to succeed because you can never have more than 5 breaks. You can't be impervious to the challenge. So what happens in this case, on a successful challenge, Carl Edwards now swaps positions. Carl Edwards moves up to 3rd, and Truex is now back to 18th. So bad 10-mile stretch for Truex Jr., who now drops 15 places from 3rd to 18th. If a driver has a starred quality, let's take a look at Kurt Busch here. It's the wrong one, but you'll get the idea. So you'll see that Kurt Busch has stars next to both reflex and control. That means that driver gets to make 2 challenges on this turn. So Kurt Kurt Busch could in fact challenge his way up to the top group and then make a challenge against the race leader all in that same 10-mile stretch. It's a really nice way to see some of the star racers make a big move during one turn during the race. So what we've been doing for star, we'll just assume all of our challenges are complete, and this is where the track is at the end of the turn. Now that you see how the challenge mechanism works. Now we still have to roll for a problem somewhere in the middle group because before we rolled the doubles on the silver dice. So checking for a problem result brings in the last piece of game material that I have yet to show you, which is the problem results chart. On this chart we have finder tables where we'll figure out who is having the problem in that particular group, and then finally some flavor text and results for what the problem may be. So the first thing we have to do is we have to roll a couple dice and figure out who is having the problem here in the middle group. And we'll go ahead and use a red and a white, and we'll read red first and white second. And we get a 26. So we come over to the chart and we look for result 26 in the middle group. And it's driver number 2, even. So driver number 2, right here, even, right here, is Brian Vickers. So Brian Vickers is having a problem, and we need to see what it is. So we come back over to the problem finder chart, and we're going to roll on this chart. Again, rolling 2 dice for Brian Vickers. We get a 43, and we look at result 43 on this chart, and we zoom in close and we see overheating, roll for repair, pit crew A or B, problem does not occur. So here we go. If he has a good pit crew, he won't be overheating. But let's see what he's got. Oh, his pit crew skill is a C. So, whoops, sorry for bumping the camera. So because he is a C, we do have to roll for repair. So that's when these charts up here come into play. So we are going to take a look at the problem chart up here. We know that Brian Vickers, his pit crew grade is a C. So since we're in this chart, I'm sorry, let me back up. This chart is broken out 3 sections. First third of the race, middle third of the race, final third of the race. Obviously, we're in the first third of the race, given the fact that we're in the first 10-mile section. Pit crew grade is a C. So on a roll of 7 or better, 7 or lower when I say better, Brian Vickers' pit crew will pass this problem check. So remember, he's overheating. If I roll 2 dice and I roll an 8 or higher, he's out of the race. They're unable to make the repair. So this would be a bad start for Brian Vickers. However, if I roll the 2 dice and I roll anything from 2 to a 7, he passes the check. He will still have to go to the back of the pack, but he remains in the race. So let's see what happens. We're just going to roll 2 dice, and we are going to add the results together. 7 or better, he stays in the race. And I rolled a 4. So that's good for Brian. So now what happens is you take Brian and you take the bottom stack of cards, and he goes now into last place. That simulates him heading into the pits, getting repaired, and coming back out into the field. So now that we have an empty spot here because of Vickers moving to the back of the pack, we need to go ahead and fill that in. If this was a yellow flag event, we would simply push everybody up 1 space and take the person from the bottom of this stack, whoever's in 20th place, and automatically put him into 19th place. But because this is not a yellow flag event, first thing we do is we still shift everybody up 1 spot, but then there's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get out of that bottom group into the middle group, and it's based on the driver's gas pedal rating. So Kevin Harvick has a chance now to move from the bottom group up to the middle group, but he's going to have to roll against his gas pedals. So he needs a 4 or better since he has 4 gas pedals to move up into 19th place. And he makes it. He got a 2. So Harvick now is in 19th. And it's a big deal to move from the bottom group to the middle group. So that was a good 10-mile stretch for him. He moved up into the next group. Okay, so we've seen how a race cam result on a driver quality is resolved when challenging from middle to top. The same thing works from bottom to middle as well, so I don't need to show you that. What I haven't talked about are these performance chips. Earlier in the game, during the race cam week, Clint Boyer, because of an outstanding qualifying week, got a performance chip. You're going to get these chips awarded to your drivers throughout the game, and they basically are a get-out-of-jail-free card for a failed challenge. If you're trying to challenge out of one group into another and you fail the roll, that driver can spend the performance chip to automatically make the challenge succeed. Likewise, a driver like Clint Boyer could spend a performance chip to automatically defend a possible successful challenge. And this is a good segue into the pit scenario, whether it's yellow flag or just the regular pit roll, because this does give drivers opportunities also to gain performance chips and use them. So the pit turn procedure in Red, White, and Blue Racing is actually pretty cool. First thing you're going to do is you're going to roll your black and silver dice, and in both groups you're going to take a look at the silver dice to start. The silver dice, or the metallic dice, are telling you in both the top and the middle group which drivers are going to switch positions. So immediately, just by the fact of having a pit turn, we're going to see some shuffling happening in the positions of the cars. So positions 4 and 3 are going to swap positions in both the top and middle groups. So immediately in the pits, we have Skinner is going to swap positions with Kane. So during the pit phase, Kane moved back to 5th, Skinner moved up to 4th, and over here we do the same thing with 3 and 4, except it's 2 drivers for each. So Earnhardt and Logano move up, Martin and McMurray move back. And just keep them in the same order in terms of their pairing. So that's the first step in the pit sequence. So that just shuffles things up a bit. Then when you look at the black die, the result is a 3. So that's going to determine which group gets to go for a fast pit and possibly also earn some performance chips. So if it was a 1 or a 2, if that black die was a 1 or a 2, it would indicate that the race leader and the top group could go for a fast pit. Since we rolled a 3, it means the middle group. And again, this is a single die roll, and you're going to do it for each driver, basically rolling against their gas pedal rating. If this die, if the magic red die, is equal to or less than their gas pedal rating, they get a performance chip. So let's run through this. And I'm going to go, Harvick has 4 gas pedals. He gets a 5. He doesn't get one. Rawless with 3 does not get one. Truex Jr. with 3 does not get one. Biffle with 4 gets one. Biffle gets a performance chip. Mark Martin with 5 gets a performance chip. McMurray with 4 does not. Earnhardt with 4 does. Logano with 4 does not. Hamlin with 4 rolls out of the box. Hamlin with 4 does not. Ricky Rudd with 3 does not. Kurt Busch with 4 does. And finally, Jimmy Johnson with 5 does. So now the fast pit sequence is over. We've awarded our performance chips. The next step in the pit sequence is that everybody who has a performance chip on both sides of the board gets to move up to the front of the pack. Now, over in the top group, let's resolve them first. Nobody over here has the ability to move up. Clint Boyer is going to be staying as the race leader with his 1 performance chip over there. But over here in the middle, you'll notice that we've got Biffle, Earnhardt, and Martin that all need to move up. So starting from the bottom and working your way up, you see if anybody's going to move up. Ricky Rudd here is sitting without a performance chip, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the first driver who has a chip next to him, so it's a simple swap. So Earnhardt gets to move up to 10th from 13th. Rudd moves back. Same thing happens here. Martin is going to fill in also the first space without a performance chip, so Martin moves up. And because of Biffle's fast pit, he moves up to 16th from 16th to 12th, Logano moving back. So you don't shuffle everybody back, it's a exact swap. So at the end of a pit turn, all of your performance chipped players should be at the head of their particular group. Now, there is one more step to the pit phase, which is seeing if anybody here in the top group is going to challenge, well, actually, we're going to find out who, in the top group is going to challenge Clint Bowyer for the lead coming out of the pits. So we're going to roll a single die to find out which driver gets the honor. It's a 6. So Bobby Labonte here in 7th gets to challenge Clint Bowyer for the lead coming out of the pits. And it's a simple roll against Bobby Labonte's gas pedal rating, which is a 5. So no brakes come into this whatsoever. It's a simple roll against the gas pedal grade, no defense. It's a 6. He fails the challenge. Now, I was kind of hoping that he rolled anything else, say a 3. Let's assume he rolled a 3. So Labonte would now switch places with Bowyer, but Bowyer's got the performance chip. He could spend it, and he would spend it right now to fend off the challenge and keep himself in the lead. So in that case, a 3 was rolled on the challenge coming out of the pits. Bowyer has to spend his chip. He stays in the lead. Labonte stays in 7th. So that should give you a pretty good idea of the gameplay. Everything plays out right here on these two boards in this one stack of cards. If there is a quality check from the bottom group up to the middle group, it's the same thing. You just go through card by card, rolling the dice, rolling red, white, and blue, and doing the quality checks from card to card, and swapping positions as needed. There can be trouble events that take out lots of cars and create yellow flags, in which case you reorder the cards. The cars, you go through a pit sequence and get back to racing. And it's a very, very nice game, has a great flow to it. And I'd say a race is going to take you anywhere from 40 minutes to a little over an hour, depending on how many turns there are. Some of the super speedways where you've got 50 turns and you're going 500 miles, it's going to take some time. But it's not because the game is difficult, just because there's a lot of rolling that has to happen, especially when you're challenging from this bottom group up to the middle group, rolling those red, white, and blue dice for each card, that has a particular quality for that challenge. So if you like chucking dice, this is a great game for you. Okay, so that is Red, White, and Blue Racing. As the byline says, the excitement of big-time stock car racing on your tabletop. I'm not sure how much I talked about this in the opening, but I am not a big-time NASCAR fan. I'm not even what you probably consider a NASCAR fan. I enjoy the Daytona 500. I watch the Daytona 500 every year, I think, pretty much, although it's going to be tougher now that we've decided to cut cable. But I do like the sport. I'm just not a huge fan. So it was with very little trepidation that I bought the game and started playing and had a blast with it, because as a gamer, as a sports gamer, I really like this. I don't know how to explain this. I like standings watching. I like watching a season evolve from the beginning to the end, watching champions emerge, and that happens with this game very easily and very quickly. Not only within a race, to watch the ebb and flow of a race and watch racers go from the bottom to the top, but over the course of a season through point standings. So that part of the sport I really enjoy. And this game makes it easy to run your own season, be it short or a full-length 30-plus race season. Really easy to do. The events that happen during race week and during the race itself give enough flavor that you can create the stories in your mind about what's going on this season, and even carry it over from season to season. So if you're familiar with Play.com games, that shouldn't come as a surprise. Other games that Keith publishes uses that mechanic, and this one does it really well. So if you're interested in creating histories, creating your own stories, this is a great game, even if you're like me, not a huge NASCAR fan. I highly recommend the fictional driver sets as well as the actual driver sets. If you're into the racing history and into recreating seasons, obviously you're going to be more interested in the actual drivers, which Keith provides. But if you're like me and you're more into creating your own universe, your own history, then the Scram series, Stock Car Racing America, may work for you as well. So I'm very happy with the components, nice and colorful. I'm very happy with the rules, very easy to learn, and I came back to this game to do this video after probably about 1.5 or 2 years away, and everything came back. However, if I made a mistake in any of the roles or plays that I made in the game, please let me know in the comments below. I'm hoping I played it right. I'm pretty sure I remembered everything. If you have any questions about the game, go ahead and leave comments below. To summarize, really good game, really glad to have it in my collection. Totally have already got my money's worth out of this, and I'm sure I'm going to be running more seasons in the future with this game. So please subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed to it already. Take a look at my previous video chronologically, because there's still a few days left in a contest I'm running for a game giveaway, so you may want to check that out. Thanks to everybody who's already entered into that contest. I'm really impressed with the turnout, and I think that's all I've got for now. So go play some games, have some fun. Check out my Facebook page. There's a link to it somewhere around this channel. You can find it. It's Hands-On Games on Facebook, and like that to keep up with stuff that's going on outside of the video series. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks.